Easter, the case for the resurrection of Jesus Christ, and by doing so, I'm just going to examine the historical evidence in which theories, okay, best explains that historical facts. Okay, let's get the facts straight. Gary Habermas has completed the most comprehensive investigation to date on what scholars believe about the resurrection. Habermas reports that virtually all scholars, from ultra-liberal skeptics to Bible-thumping conservatives, agree that the following points concerning Jesus and Christianity are actual historical facts. Okay, let me give you these facts. 1. Jesus died by Roman crucifixion. We have multiple attestations of this occurrence, that Jesus really did die on the cross. 2. He was buried, most likely in a private tomb. Okay? 3. Soon afterwards, the disciples were discouraged, bereaved, and despondent. They lost hope. 4. Jesus' tomb was found empty very soon after his death. 5. The disciples had experiences that they believed were the actual appearances of the risen Jesus, okay? Remember, they believed that they truly thought that they saw the risen Jesus, historical fact. 6. Due to these experiences, the disciples' lives were thoroughly transformed. They were even willing to die for their belief. Think about it. Would you die for something you knew to be absolutely false? Okay. 7. The proclamation of the resurrection took place very early. There was a creed that said that Jesus died on the cross for our sins, and then he rose again on the third day. Okay? Scholars date that creed all the way back, right after the crucifixion. Okay, so also Paul and James became Christian believers due to experiences they also believed were the appearance of the risen Jesus. Okay, so based on these facts that we know, what is the most plausible theory that explains them? Okay, well, let's look at some of the theories, and I'm going to show you why I am skeptical about the skeptical theories. Okay, the first one I'm going to discuss is called the hallucination theory. Maybe the disciples were deceived by hallucinations. Maybe they sincerely believed they saw the risen Jesus, but they were just experiencing hallucinations. Well, this theory has a number of fatal flaws. First, hallucinations are not experienced by groups. Okay, they're experienced by like one person, and even if multiple people had hallucinations, they wouldn't all be the same. Okay, it's unrealistic to suppose that all these were historical, or all these were hallucinations. Okay. Also, remember they were depressed, grieved, and discouraged right after Jesus' crucifixion. So that probably made them less susceptible to hallucinations. Okay, 2. That does not explain the empty tomb. You can have a hallucination, but that doesn't explain the empty tomb. Okay, and so which was known all over the ancient world. Okay, just look at the Jewish and Christian arguments. Okay, that's why the Jews had to make excuses. Okay, because everybody knew that the tomb was empty. I mean, just look at the the Jews and the Romans did anything to persecute and kill the Christians. I mean, think about it, they could have ended it right there if the body was just in that tomb. Okay? Okay, so the hallucination theory certainly doesn't cut it. Okay, another theory is called the swoon or apparent death theory, meaning, well, maybe people thought that Jesus died on the cross, you know, but he was really let down from the cross, and somehow he managed to stay alive. Somehow they buried him in the tomb alive, and after a couple of hours or days or whatever, he semi-rejuvenated and was able to get out, push the boulder, the 2-ton boulder, and somehow get past the Roman guards and be able to convince the disciples that he was the risen Jesus. Yeah, sure, okay. And there are a couple problems with this theory as well. So first with this, the Roman guards were professional and trained killers. Okay. Also, John reports that a spear was thrust into his side, and that blood and water came gushing out. Now then, it's curious how he says blood and water, but now, due to modern medicine, we know that if that happened, it would thrust straight through the lung, and water, clear liquid would come out, and then blood would come out. And so both, okay, clear liquid first and then blood. And so, how did John know this 2,000 years ago that would have happened? It doesn't make any sense. So, probably the only most plausible explanation for how he would have wrote that was probably because he saw it. He saw it happen. So, how was he able to convince the disciples that he was the risen Jesus and that they were finally willing to die for their lives? How? It doesn't make any sense. Okay, so that no one really holds to that theory anymore. Also, here's another one. The concept or the fact that the disciples stole the body. Well, actually, this doesn't go with the historical facts. Because why? Because the theory makes the New Testament writers the deceivers, not the deceived ones. Remember, we knew that they actually thought that they saw the risen Jesus, which is not, that's totally contradictory to them stealing the body. Okay? And so also, we know that the empty tomb was there, and that we know that the Roman guards were there. Just look at the Jewish arguments against the Christians. They said that the guards fell asleep, and so the disciples were able to steal the body. Many. So what do? They acknowledged that there were guards there. Okay? The enemy acknowledged that there were guards there. There are many problems with the guards falling asleep. One is that if a guard fell asleep while on watch, what would happen? Off with the head. Okay, and second, how'd they know what happened? They were asleep. How'd they know what happened? I mean, hey, I was asleep, and I was asleep while they did it, and I somehow know that they stole the body. I don't know. Think about that. Also, I mean, some of the experts on that, they say that the boulder over the tomb was like, I don't know how, it was heavy. It probably took over 10 people to move it. Now then, I mean, tell me, I mean, the guards were probably sleeping, if they slept, right next to the boulder. Now then, how in the world did the disciples, or whoever, were able to move the big tomb, it seems, because they probably slept right next to the boulder, and it just doesn't make any sense. And so that's, I don't think that that's a very plausible theory either. Okay, so when we find that all other theories come, and all other alternatives to the resurrection come up short with no historical basis whatsoever. Okay, only the resurrection can explain all these historical facts. Okay, remember that within 5 weeks of the crucifixion, tens of thousands of Jews and priests converted to Christianity. Now then, they're Jews, okay? They were anticipating a Messiah for over 1,000 years. This was a big deal. They had huge expectations for this Messiah, that he was going to be a superpower, a king. And yet you have this guy named Jesus, or Yeshua, who maybe claimed to do a couple miracles. He was a moral teacher, and he just died. And right after his death, within 5 weeks of his crucifixion, tens of thousands of Jews just converted to him, despite the huge expectations for a Messiah. I mean, if Jesus really never rose from the dead, what motivation would those Jewish people have for converting to Christianity? How do you explain that? I love how Gary Habermas puts this. Okay, this is talking about the entire resurrection scenario. Skeptics must provide more than alternative theories to the resurrection. They must provide first century evidence for those theories. I'm here to tell you, I don't have enough faith to be skeptical about the resurrection.